Beaverines, happy hump day. We're totally live. Who is in the house before we get started this morning here? I'm in rare form. I'm riding dirty, just so everybody knows. Rare form, so you have been warned. Oh boy. Yep. Diggity Danny, what's up, brother? Ink Scars is in the house. Amelia Tracy, how you doing, ma'am? So we're 5x5, I'm assuming. I should have asked. Lord Eagle, how you doing? Hot Rod Prepper, good morning. White Collar Prepper, Kelly, good morning. Poor Country Living, I can relate to that name. Mike, how you doing, brother? Gene, Anarchy, Rocco's here. Rocco is a huge fan of Kamala Harris. Be sure you let him know that in the chat. So remember when, I got a rant here for a second. Remember when, I'm going to just say remember when. I should have named the whole video this. So remember when about 3 weeks ago, I said, look, son, gas is getting ready to go through the roof. And I'm not going to lie. I caught a few nasty emails for that. Had some creators. They created this term information prepper. And they're like, no, you don't need to be an information prepper. You need to focus on like turning goat bladders into sandbags or something. Like 99% of the population is going to need to know how to do that. And I said, no, information is key. Gas is getting ready to go up. Pay attention. Stockpile the gas. Stockpile the gas. So this morning, I'm going to make another prediction. You can listen, maybe not, whatever you want to do. We are getting ready to see everything go up in price across the board. If something has touched a truck, if something has touched a boat or a ship, some people get mad when you call them boats, a plane, if something was born in a factory in which there's lighting, overhead lighting and overhead expenditures, it is getting ready to go up in price. You have roughly a couple of weeks before this catches up to the common person. So right now, as the common zombie is out here hoarding gas that I tried to warn folks about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I don't remember how long it's been. I'm warning you now, a couple of weeks from now, things are going to be astronomical. People are going to be wandering around. They're not going to understand why the price increases. If there's anything that you need, if you've been thinking, this does not just apply to food and water, folks, or gas, which is ridiculous. We'll get there this morning. If you've been looking in, for a new pair of boots or a coat, any sort of clothing, any sort of medication, if your kids have been wanting or needing anything, now's the time, because you're going to get it a lot cheaper now than you will in a couple of weeks. You have been warned. Bad Boy Channel was the first up in here this morning. I wrote it down. I remember the name from chat, but it was the first time that I'd ever gotten to write that down on my fancy note card that I've been keeping up with, chicken scratch all over it. Shotgun Saturday night, this Saturday, 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are going to be comparing real life SHTF versus The Walking Dead. What's Hollywood and what's factual. So there's been some great comments coming over on Patreon from that. So anyway, let's jump into it this morning. Biden has announced an oil embargo. As of yesterday, no Russian gas imports are coming into the country. So let me explain to you, as I take a swig of coffee here, what he's actually doing, besides, screwing the country up, as he always does. What Biden is doing here, and his staff, his handlers, if you will, they've figured out how bad he screwed the country up. And they realize, okay, there's an election in November, and it's a pretty big election. So what Biden is doing, he is screwing it up a little more by saying no more Russian oil, and then he is going to shift blame over to the Russian war. Like the entire thing is on Russia, when in fact it was screwed up before this embargo. So remember that as you go to the polls. If you vote, some of you don't vote anymore, and I can't say that I'm blaming you. The bitter critter says he's crushing the middle class. That is exactly right. Biden made a statement yesterday, and he said, we really don't rely on Russian oil all that much anyway. It's not a huge deal. Yes, it is a huge deal. In 2021, we actually imported more oil, for those that don't know, or excuse me, more gasoline from Russia than any other country. 21%. I wrote it down. And again, it's going to have a trickle down effect. It's going to affect the prices of everything. That takes a couple of weeks. So the stuff that is in stores right now, they've already paid for the gasoline to get it there, the fuel to get it there. But as they replace the stuff on the shelves, they're going to have to pay more. And I promise you, no matter what store it is, Piggly Wiggly, Kohl's, whatever, son, Winn-Dixie, they're going to pass it on to the customer. This is what companies do. Otherwise, they're going out of business. This announcement is going to affect Wall Street. It's going to affect manufacturing. It's going to affect trucking. As somebody said, small business. Think about a restaurant for a second, because that's that's an ideal small business, right? You run a restaurant, you're already getting killed, okay? Because you're not a chain restaurant. You're having to try and pay all the overhead. So your overhead just went up. The cost to turn the lights on and to keep the place heated, that just went up substantially with Joe's announcement. All of the food that you're buying to sell to customers, to prepare and sell, that is now going up in price. Your staff is going to want more money because all of their living expenses just went up. I saw on Twitter yesterday, somebody was whining. It was a larger creator. I don't remember who, they're on the far left, but they are one of these $15 an hour minimum wage people. They've been hammering that since Pocahontas was running around, using that as a soundbite or whatever. Now they're asking for $20 an hour. They still don't understand the issue. And the issue is, when things cost more, people need more, and you're not actually gaining anything. So employees are going to want more money. It's killing, as somebody said, small business, they're getting slammed, and it's only getting worse at this point. This has the potential to ruin, I think, many small businesses. And I'm going to make the statement this morning, as the video would indicate, we are already at war. Tie time. Thank you, guys. We're already at war. Who agrees? Who disagrees with that? There we go. Thank y'all for letting me know. Do y'all think we're already at war? Somebody says Southern Bear says the workers are already crying for more. That's correct. I do. They keep calling it a Cold War, and I think that's pretty accurate. I think it's a Cold War right now, but I think that all countries involved, I think we're at war with Russia and China. They already know that the hot war is coming. There's going to be some kind of at least a conflict between the United States and Russia and China and other players. They know that's coming. I think our military has been preparing for that. I think our government has been preparing for that. And that's also going to take away from our reserves when it comes to food and water and ammunition and stuff like that. A lot of y'all have been stacking the ammunition. Planned out or not, any sort of war with these superpowers is going to collapse the country as we know it. I would argue this morning it's going to collapse anyway. We're on I think John at the Prepared Mind, he calls it a roller coaster, a runaway roller coaster. We've already left the station. We're in motion now. There's no stopping it. And the SHTFs are going to be like this, and then finally there's going to be that huge one at the end. The America as we know it is, I don't know. It's just on its way out. I'm not trying to be gloom and doom this morning. I have good news as well, but I just wanted to mention that. Chaos is coming. The storm that we talk about from time to time that's on the horizon, uh, it's here now. We're just getting it. You ever been in a thunderstorm or something and you're right there at the edge? Um, Prep for that chaos because that chaos is coming. Now, that's the bad news this morning. I got an email. I think it was late last night, brother. If it was early this morning, I'm sorry. I was kind of discombobulated, if you will, lack of sleep. But I said, tune in. He said, I think he was talking about his family. He said they were feeling really down. He needs some words of encouragement. I said, tune in this morning. It's good news for us. I think it's bad news for superpowers, any superpower that wants to come and take what we have, because Americans, red-blooded Americans, meat-eating Americans, wood-burning Americans, um, not necessarily your Prius types, no offense, but the dually truck drivers out there, we're not laying down. We're not going to hand our country over to anybody, whether that's our own government, whether that's the Russian government, anybody, we're not handing it over. This may be the swamp's plan. Many of you have reached out via email and stuff, and you said, this is all planned. Joe's doing this on purpose. Maybe. Maybe it's the swamp's plan. Maybe he's totally compromised by an external player. I'm inclined to agree on that. Maybe our entire Congress is compromised. Doesn't matter. That may be their plan. That's not our plan. You think, we keep hearing this, or at least I do in mainstream media, Ukraine, the resistance is unreal in Ukraine. They're standing up to the big bully Russians. If you think that Ukraine is putting up a resistance, let an invasion happen here in the United States. We will make that look like Chuck E. Cheese in comparison. The folks here do not play. There are 18.8 million veterans in this country right now. They have the training, they have the willpower, I believe, and most of them have the means to get things done. I had to Google this one. I wasn't sure about this. There are 165 considered large and threatening militias here in the United States. Smaller militias, who knows? There's no way for me to find that information. But there are 165 that the United States is actively watching and actively worried about because they're so large and they're heavily militarized. You're not going to come here. I don't care if it's China. I don't care if it's Russia, North Korea, whatever. You're not going to come here. You're not going to start seizing land. You're not going to start going into people's homes and seizing property. This is not 1918. And it sure as hell ain't the Soviet Union. You're not going to come in here and start kicking people off their homesteads and just expect them to walk away. This is not pre-World War II Germany where everybody just lines up at the train cars. Okay, that's not going to happen here in the United States. Every inch, every morsel of food, whether it's rice, whether it's beans, whatever y'all are stacking, every minute that they are here, they will pay a substantial price. They will regret ever trying to take the United States of America. My kids will not live under communism, and y'all can quote me on that. Not in my lifetime, at least. Let me explain to you what makes America different, and then I'll get off the soapbox here. Whether it's Ukraine, whether it's Poland, Australia, Great Britain, Canada, on down the line, those folks are submissive, and I'm not trolling any other countries, but they're submissive because they don't have a lot of firepower that's been taken from them. And so they're forced to submit to the government and hope the government can take care of them. The government is in control. Here in the United States, the government is not in control. They may be in control of taxes. They may pass nonsensical laws. But when it comes down to nut cutting time, and it comes down to fundamentally who is in control of this country, we are. Be it through the polls, be it through the Second Amendment, whatever we got to do. And I think the people here, the smart folks here, know a collapse is imminent. And I'm gonna level with you. I'm prepping to survive that collapse, and I'm prepping to help build what comes next. Because whatever comes next is going to have to be fought for. Um, be that against what remains of our own government, or be that against China or any foreign invader, the UN maybe. It's going to have to be fought for. But I think people here are willing to fight for it when they're pushed into a corner and they have no other choice. Conservatives and even patriots will put up with a lot. We'll bitch about it. We'll say this sucks, this is illegal, and all this stuff. But if we get pushed into a corner and we have no other choice, communism or fight, I believe there are enough people here that will fight. And I do not think we're going to be the pushover that other countries believe we're going to be. Anyway, I'm going to jump into the poll now before I lose the window here. And I need to tell y'all a story. Go into the gas station. Okay, let me pull the poll up here. Go into the gas station this morning to fill up and go in to pay the attendant. The attendant looks down at me, tall guy, blonde hair, looked like Ivan Drago. And he says, "I must break you." I'm just kidding. That one's on the house. But it feels that way. It feels just like you're getting pummeled at the pumps. So the poll this morning, how much does it cost you to fill up your tank? 1%, Elon Musk is in the house, says nothing. I drive a Tesla. $40 to $100, I'm included in this. 64% of you. 19% of you say it costs over $100 to fill up your tanks. And 15% of you chose 2 beaver pelts and a kidney. Yeah, without taking it to the gutter too much, we're fast approaching a time where I think you're going to start to see beaver traded for many things here in the United States. I want to jump into the speed round now. I wrote them all down on one card here. First, a wheat grinder. Does anybody out there have a wheat grinder? Can you recommend a brand? A decent brand, maybe sub $100 or around $100. I think that's going to be the next pet project here at the Ponderosa. I think I'm going to jump on this one and just leave my wife to the canning. Let me see. Kelly says she has one, but she forgot the brand. Well, that's okay. If you happen to find it or something, just let me know. Email me or something. Cost please, Lord, tell me that's a typo. You mean 120 or 1,120 to fill up my semi? Okay, so thank you, Amelia. I did not know they had a wheat grinder. I'm talking about a manual one, but I didn't know they had that attachment. My wife has one of those deals, I think, like one of those retro looking mixer deals. So that would be good to have, but yeah, I need something. I think I need something manual just in case the power's down. Arkansas Living wheat grinder video coming next week. Thank you, man. I'll check that out. Can fit stones to the cheap grinders. Okay, man, I'll check that out. Thank you. Jupiter brand. Thank you, Nanette. So yeah, I figured something that I can jump in and just try out. I can't mess it up too bad, right? Let me see here. I don't even know what I was thinking here. Oh, are you folks seeing shortages on milk or canned foods at this point? That is being reported now as like the main shortage. It was chicken for a while. Of course, it was lumber, and that's supposedly coming back. But milk and canned food, they're saying, are the 2 biggest things right now in stores. Victoria Grain Mill. Thank you, Cynthia. Not too bad. Tammy says no. C Coop says slowly. Double D Homestead says she's seeing shortages or limits. A couple of people were talking about limits, I think. Facebook maybe. Canned cat food. Yeah, that's been that way here for a while. Beach glass. Really? Lightseeker says a hand crank grinder on Amazon, $34. You're speaking my language. All right. I may wait though. I'm going to check out Arkansas Living because if it works good for him and it's affordable, I know he's a high roller, but if it's affordable, I'll probably jump on the same brand. Katie Mackey, good morning. Ramen never gets restocked that I'm seeing, or juices. Ramen's definitely a red flag. Sheila says 8. I can't even imagine. Like, I know some of you truckers, you work for the company, maybe you get a gas card or something like that, but as an independent trucker, I don't know how that works. If that comes out of your own pocket, I couldn't even. I would just probably quit on the spot or something the first time. The only shortages near me are cornmeal, big time. I have not checked a cornmeal. I don't know that my wife has either in a while. No shortages here on the West Coast. Well, aren't you just something else? Y'all are paying probably a lot more, though, than we're used to paying over here. Finally, I heard this kicked around on, I've seen it on several of the mainstream media sites. It's called decision fatigue. Is anybody dealing with this? They said it is a mixture of stress and having just to make so many adult decisions over the past few years. Anybody else fatigued? I saw this and I said, well, wait a minute. This might actually be a thing. I think part of mine's just sleep deprivation, but yeah, there might be some decision fatigue going on here, son. Yes, Christine. So, or I'm sorry, Christy Betts, Cherokee Survival. So, anybody suffering from decision fatigue, I didn't know that was a real term until I kept seeing it. Apparently, you're not alone. So, just know that you're not alone. Black Cat Whirly Gigs, like, nope, keep stacking them. I'll keep stacking them. Tamara says she's not sleeping well. Outlaw Farms. That's very good. That's good advice, Jennifer Cruz. You can't go wrong with that. But yeah, it's just it's weird. I get this email probably from different people, probably twice a week. It's not like every day, but they're always asking, and sometimes they're nice about it, other times not so much. They're like, when is SHTF starting? I'm tired of hearing about SHTF. I've got all this stuff stocked up, and I'm thinking, man, we've been in SHTF since the beginning of the pandemic. Where have you been? I don't know. I don't know if I've got to draw it out like in Golden Corral crayons for you or something on those little kid sheets. Like, what else do you need to know that we're in SHTF right now? Do you need $20 gas? Do you need more stores with no lobbies open? Do you need more empty shelves? I don't understand. I don't get it. We exactly. Mama Bear said, "We in it, son." I know. I realize we're in it. We have been, as Mike says, for 3 years now, but some people just it ain't never going to click. I mean, it's good on them that they're watching, prepping, and maybe they got some stuff stacked, but I don't know what else they need to see. You know, these have got to be some of the optimistic people in the world. I thought I was optimistic. No, these people blowing me away. Yes, they are. Tom, check out Hormel Completes. Those are actually much shorter shelf life, but a long shelf life. As you said, those are really good replacements, I think, for MREs. People that can't afford to stack a lot of MREs, or if you're going camping and you don't want to take MREs, those are really good. Take some crackers or hardtack or something. I mean, that's fair. The big balloon, maybe they're talking about the big balloon, just like the end of the world, or but the thing with the big balloon is it varies depending on who you talk to. So, I may talk to you here in chat and you may think the big balloon is boots on ground invasion here in the United States. But for somebody else, they're paying $1,200 for a tank of gas in their truck. I mean, to me, that's a big balloon going up because that could potentially change the way I have to live. Yeah, I believe so, Jim. We talked about it a little yesterday. The depression has started. It's in motion. As things get more expensive, people aren't gonna the cost of living can't keep up. That's why the $15 an hour crowd is now wanting 20. I even saw a couple people asking for $25. And I'm thinking, no disrespect to anybody, but I know people with like trade school and skilled degrees and stuff that aren't making $25 an hour. And somebody wants to work at Arby's and make $25 an hour. Are you kidding me? And nothing against you if you work at Arby's, but that's other people had to go to school and they had to learn a significant trade and they had to pay for it in order to make a better living. And it's nonsense to me. Um, and they don't really think it through. Like, if an employer has to pay everybody $25 an hour and things are already costing more money, what's that employer going to have to do? They're going to have to raise their prices substantially on everything. And they're either going to go out of business or, they're going to lose a lot of their business. I mean, it's just the way it works. It's almost like that crowd. I don't want to say Democrats in general, but that extreme left, like the progressive Democrats, it's like they can only look through a little bitty scope. They can't see the big picture. People are poor. Here, let's give them $25 an hour. Are you kidding me? Look at the big picture. They don't look at the big picture, and that's why we're at, the spot we're in right now. And Joe is one of them. Joe can't see the big picture. He doesn't understand. We're going to punish Russia, with this embargo. Russia is going to take the oil. They're going to turn right around. They're going to sell it to somebody else, and they're going to get paid. We are going to be suffering, Joe. We are going to be suffering. Now, our gas is going to go up $1.50 more on the gallon. It's pathetic. Well, is that a question, a statement, two-wheel prepper, Antifa? Are you referring to the $25 an hour crowd? Did I maybe I missed a news report. Maybe they were back in Chicago twerking in the streets. The New York redneck, just stop producing more currency and this will stop immediately. It will begin to stop. But the problem is they can't quit spending money. Both sides, Republican, Democrat, they cannot stop spending money. I'm never running for president for those that have asked, but if any of you ever run for president, the biggest thing I want to see as a voter is I want to see a president sit down and say, you had better put a budget in front of me where we're actually shaving the debt off. We're not overspending anymore. You have this amount coming in. This is the amount you're spending. You better get rid of some of the spending habits. If you can't figure it out, I'll shut the government down until you can figure it out and nobody's getting paid. But yeah, we need a president like that. I'm telling you. Shell Joe Mom, if we're lucky, it will only go up on $1.50. I mean, there's no limit in sight. Like there's no ceiling on this. Who knows how far it's going to go up, independent, especially, oh God, now I'm sick at my stomach, especially if Joe were to hustle his way to a second term. Can you imagine what six more years of Biden in office? Independent Marine, we shouldn't be buying oil from any other country, period. That's fair. I would rather see that, what you're talking about, than what's going on right now. Amen. Shave that debt. Yeah. With no middle finger, man. Corey, I'm kind of disappointed here. West Virginia, Montes, I think I'm saying that right, Semper. Global shutdown coming. I don't know about a shutdown, but I mean, the economy. It was actually trending on a while for Twitter. I know Twitter. Where you at, Loose? Loose, my Twitter buddy over there. But it was trending on Twitter last night, the Great Reset. And I'm like, oh, a bunch of people apparently know about the Great Reset. And of course, you had your extreme leftists saying, "Oh, get the tinfoil off your head" and all this, and people were posting, the actual paperwork, from the meetings and stuff, and they're like, "No, it's not really a tinfoil thing. It's the real deal. The Great Reset is being installed right in front of our very eyes." And this is probably one of the many that Joe is not opening the Keystone up. Red Dog. If there's a digital reset and an economic reset incoming, they don't need to open it. He's doing a great job by those standards. Trout on dry. He's just got FJB. He's just sick of Joe Biden. I'm so sick of the man. I was trying to explain. I try not to jump in politics too much with my daughter, but she's in civics class now. She's getting older. She's interested in this stuff. And I was trying to explain the mess that we have here, because we have Biden theoretically for a couple of more years, and then again, if he is able to hustle his way to a second term, that would be unreal. I said our backup option, Kamala Harris, Chuckles, if you will, has no real answers. She can only answer softball questions. And by the way, let me just say real quick, Poland, I meant to mention this earlier. They had made a deal with the United States to send their MiGs. Poland was going to send their MiGs to Ukraine, and the United States was going to replace the MiGs with fighter jets that are made here. The United States has now backed out of that, and it's total chaos going on. The NATO allies can't even agree on what to do, and Kamala Harris is stopping there today to try and de-escalate the situation, since we're talking about Kamala Harris. But anyway, enough rambling. So I'm telling my daughter how much of a mess it is. And I said, and then, in the third spot, you have Nancy Pelosi until we find a better option. Good morning, Mr. Bull Hanson. How are you doing, sir? I am, I'm a couple of days behind, probably 3 days now on YouTube. And I know I've seen that you have published new videos over there. So I haven't been able to get over to check them out in 2 or 3 days. Let's see here. Bill B, Russia will start holding back on fertilizer. Well, what's the big deal? It's not like we need it here in the United States. Not like, this is sarcasm, by the way, folks. Not like we need fertilizer here to grow things and feed people. I agree. Russia holds more cards than we do. We're shutting down McDonald's and not sending iPhones over, and they are not sending us oil and fertilizer now. It's mind-boggling. Y'all are chatty. Yeah, Tom, I'm trying to think back here. Okay. Has there been a sadder lineup in the history of the United States? The 1, 2, 3. President, Vice President, Speaker. And Pelosi, again, I'm not sure how old she is. I know she's up there. I know she was here when the country was founded, but she's running for re-election. She wants to be speaker again. So, I mean, these people just can't quit. They just will not quit. CR, we backed out of sending planes to Poland. Did someone in DC actually show some wisdom? They made it seem like a huge deal. The news broke yesterday. They're like, Poland is ready to send its entire fleet of MiGs to Ukraine. And again, I'm like, how are they getting them there? But this could be huge. So I look, Poland has, and if anybody's here from Poland, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to berate you or anything, but they have 21. I think 21 was the official number. And I'm thinking to myself, you guys were the first ones invaded during World War II. And you haven't strapped up for bear at this point. You don't realize, after so many world conflicts in Europe, that you're going to be a part of everything. you have 21. So I'm not sure if that's going to make a huge difference anyway. As far as the United States, I'm not really sure what the hang up is over there. They had agreed to it and then they backed out of it or something. I don't know. Thank you for noticing that, white collar prepper. Yeah, the Genesis, man. But I'm not sure what the hang up is. We'll find out, I'm sure, in the news today. But don't worry, Kamala Harris is on the case. Master negotiator. They're sending over like James Bond or something. She was heading over there anyway. Um, but now she's making a pit stop and she's going to try and talk some sense into the leaders of NATO, the ambassadors and all this. Imagine that, Kamala Harris. They're going to ask her real questions. She's going to laugh and she's going to chuckle, and then she's getting back on a plane. Bush was pretty messed up. Yeah, fair. That's fair. I did like Schwarzkopf, the general, during that time. I wish we had him back. Um, Russia is a work-based economy, and we are an import economy. So basically, the makers and the takers. Yeah. Deborah, Poland said we'll fly the planes to Germany, and American soldiers can fly them to Ukraine. So nobody wants to fly them into Ukraine, basically, is what you're saying. I didn't realize that, but it makes sense. Everybody wants to shift planes around. Nobody wants to fly them into Ukraine because, again, Russia's already said, you'll be acted upon once you get here. They will start firing on you. Oh boy, I did not know that. I could get enlisted if they need the reserves. So keep an eye on the horizon. Will do, sir. Good luck with that. If anybody can survive it, it's you. You could break away on your own and they would starve out before they found civilization. I know you would make it just fine. Um, and that's a good comment, poor country living. Get some rabbits, you'll never run out of fertilizer. The big concern is the huge farms here in America. If Americans are going to try, theoretically to produce enough food for the people that live here, they're going to need more than rabbits. If you have 1,000-acre farm or 1,000-acre wood or whatever, isn't that Winnie the Pooh or 100-acre? I don't know. I can't remember. But anyway, if you have a huge farm, think about how many rabbits that would take, So when you're a commercial farmer, you need fertilizer, and there's already a shortage. And a lot of what we are getting up to this point has been coming from Russia. I cannot disagree with that. Pelosi is the crypt keeper. Yep. I think now you got me thinking of Creep Show too. I love that movie. Very well written movie. Could be smoke and mirrors. Yeah, Oklahoma, that's fair. We really don't know. It's tough because we don't know what's going to happen next. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors. I think the two sides are throwing a lot of misinformation out there on purpose, to kind of fool the other side, but they're using mainstream media to do it. So we don't know what we're getting in terms of accuracy. Let me catch up here. Ink scars. We the people, American patriots, are the largest army in the world. Keep the faith and be prepared. I've always said the veterans here are the greatest reserve army in the history of the world. I mean, there are just so many veterans here, and they've had the same training and things. And pretty much every veteran I've ever met owns multiple weapons, and they ain't afraid to use them. Um, Tomorrow, John, I still think there's something bigger they're covering up, and that's very possible because they are stopping any and all of the signal, if you will, the media that's coming out of Russia and the other side of it, you know what I mean? So that may be lies, that may be propaganda. They may be okay to shut that down, but I still would like to hear both sides and make my own decision rather than have fact checkers do that for me. Prepper Truckin' says she can't fathom how a battle could even be de-escalated. Oh man. I would love to be a fly on the wall when she gets there. Or maybe 5 minutes before she gets there when they're sitting in the room and they're talking about her, because you know they will. Information war, exactly. Well, skipping down here. Katie Mackey, I've not heard anything else about that. Did they decide if women would be drafted? I don't think so officially yet. I don't think they've actually passed the legislation officially. Um, I think they probably would, especially if they were desperate enough. Vaughn, what's going on, brother? How are you doing? Still feeling that gas guzzler you got up? Cyber attacks. There were the Bitter Critter. There were a couple of websites I don't use like Spotify, and there was another one that were down yesterday. They're not really sure why they were down. They just went down, and I think these places are starting to get hit with cyber attacks, and they're stopping a lot of them. They've stopped. They claim anyway they've stopped cyber attacks, but they said they were Chinese in origin in New York City. Banks and government infrastructure stopped several already, and they're saying it's only a matter of time before one gets through. Diggity says, start putting on weight. The skinny will die first. Oh, wow. Am I caught up here? See over Lazy or Homestead. The Harley came out of hibernation early this year. Yeah, I mean, he's got his Daryl Dixon going on. We were talking about The Walking Dead on Saturday. Um, Bobo, that's a cute dog. And speaking of cute dogs, Mames Legacy posted a video. I think it was yesterday, right, Mames? That dog's a killer you got. Bobo says, buy popcorn now. Wait until millennials lose the internet. Oh, boy. Yeah, or wait until the power goes out and they can't go to Starbucks. Man, these people are going to have meltdowns. No Wi-Fi, no coffee, no barista. I saw the dog picture and it reminded me. Somebody sent an email yesterday to cheer, to lighten the mood or whatever they sent. It was a meme, and it showed a dog with it looked like a human leg in its mouth, but it said you take a huge dog bone and you put an old tennis shoe on the end of it, and you let them loose in the yard, and it'll keep marauders away. Red Tyrant Hunter, I had not considered it. No EBT. If the grid goes down to the point where EBT is not usable, oh my God, the chaos in this country immediately. And then your pharmacies and things. Wow. Those would be two huge ones right there. The EBT card and pharmacies, an inability to get medicine that people need, especially if they need it to balance them out or something like that. James Davis is countering the argument. He says, hey, I'm skinny, but I'm prepped. So I think James Davis is like, look, I'm used to not eating a lot. Therefore, I don't need to eat a lot during SHTF. Rex, have you heard Russia's been disconnected from the internet? I haven't heard they've been disconnected completely. I think that they've shut down all of the messages. It could be the entire internet. I just haven't heard, but anything outside of Russia, they're not able to access because they want to push their own narrative. They're like any other country. It's the same thing we're doing here. We've shut down the other side of the argument. And it's never good when people start hiding information. I don't care which country it is. They're usually trying to hide something. American Oma says, I'm sitting back drinking a beer and barbecue T-bones when it all goes down. Just be careful. If you're grilling out, be careful because that smell is going to carry. After a few days, people are going to come looking. Millennials don't know what cornmeal is because they don't eat cornbread because it has carbs in it. Excellent point. Let me ask y'all a question. You bringing up cornbread. It's been a week or so. I had this discussion with my wife. Some people put a lot of things in cornbread. My wife, she makes excellent cornbread, okay? She does. But she just puts sugar in it and butter. So it's really good that way. But I want cornbread that has like peppers in it. I've seen it with cheese and stuff like this. And she says, no, that's nasty. What are y'all's thoughts on that? How do y'all eat it? Do y'all eat cornbread? Tech Tarded Prepper says 1,400 watching, only 644 thumbs up. Come on now. Yeah, the rest are fans of Joe Biden. So there you go. Thank you. Now I've got to skim down to the cornbread stuff here. I'm in connection with the Russians, so they are online at least to some degree. Thank you, Mr. Bohansen. That was my assumption too, that they're severely limiting anything from outside the country coming in that would influence the people. Because they have protests and stuff going on. They want that to stop. Sweet cornbread. Yeah, that's what we normally have. No sugar in the cornbread, Kentucky Girl says. I mean, I've had it both ways, but I've not had, with like peppers and stuff. I've seen it and I'm like, man, that looks good. And I can't get her to do it. I don't think anybody else here would eat it that way. Cornbread with jalapenos. Oh, you tease me. You teasing me, Torch. Torch, I believe you were first in the house yesterday morning, by the way. That's Johnny Cake. Which one's Johnny Cake? The sweet cornbread or the non-sweet? Bonnie says cornbread needs honey and buttermilk, period. Yeah, I love it too. I do. And I'm weird. My wife says I'm weird. I don't think I'm weird. When I eat beans, I put a little steak sauce in there and I'll mix it up. It kind of gives it a pop, you know what I mean? And then I like cornbread with it. My stomach don't like it afterwards, but no sugar in cornbread. We need to run this as a poll. We might do that as a poll tomorrow. See how people eat it. Yes, I've seen that, Katie. I've never tried it, but I've seen it with the real, the actual corn pieces in there. Well, Guy, awesome name. My wife is a millennial. I found this out. We were out at dinner and I found out she's a millennial by like 2 months. And a lot of things just fell into place at that point. We're very different people. I love her to death, but I found out, oh, she's a millennial and I'm Gen X, so it all makes sense. So yeah, they definitely, are older than 20 years old. And if my wife is watching from work, I don't mean that in a bad way. You look like you're 20, baby. Vaughn says, my wife puts a can of cream corn, okay, in it. It's the best. Makes it moist. I haven't tried that, man. Hubby loves it. I can't stand it. Prefer plain cornbread. He's ready for SHTF. He's like, I don't need nothing, just cornbread. Bacon grease. My mother-in-law does it that way. My kids are like, yuck, when they first saw it and they eat it. They love it up there now. What else do y'all have for me this morning? I have not checked the news in a couple of hours, so I don't know what's broken out. The last thing I saw again was I wrote down. I'll show you the little note here. Poland, Kamala Harris. That was the last bit of information I got before I set everything up. Yeah, I know. You can't drag us in your marriage argument. I was doing Okay, so for the folks on Patreon, I tell you what, next week we're gonna do an exclusive live. That's long overdue, but the last one we did, my wife was in the background ragging me over stuff. I don't remember what it was, but I'm like, son, you done lost your mind. I'm on live stream. Lululemons, we still hoping for a zombie apocalypse. If you go right now into Chicago, I would argue it looks like it. I mean, down to the Bears, they suck, right? Um, but yeah, zombies everywhere. The dude, Moonshine, 190 proof. That would be Blue Flame, if I'm not mistaken, unless there's something stronger than that. But Blue Flame will give you major stomach issues. That and what is that other stuff called? Everclear. Baby boomers are the best. Pops Prep, so that's cheap, man. 4.20 a gallon, that's cheap. Come on now. It's a little more expensive than that. I'm just picking. It's a little more expensive here. But again, no end in sight. Any big city. Yeah, I'm picking on Chicago and Beetlejuice, but the reality is you're right, most big cities, they're just unpoliced and people are getting desperate. Somebody was talking about earlier before we went live. They were saying that theft is up on gas and stuff. They said people were puncturing holes now in tanks and stuff trying to get gas out. And there's more like drive offs and stuff. So you're going to continue to see it. And I think it was you, Katie. If not, I'm sorry. Somebody was in here talking about how they saw some shady stuff going on at a truck stop they haven't seen before. And unfortunately, you're going to see more of that as people get desperate. I had a friend that almost died over that. Um, Another story for another day, but yeah, he almost died over aftershock. Um, he crawled in his house, and then the EMTs had to come and get him, and it was a whole thing. Rot gut. Well, to give you rot gut, yeah. But I was thinking ulcers and stuff. I mean, it's not good for you like that long term. He is, man. He is awesome. I was telling the crowd, it's been a while, but I was telling the crowd, Vaughn, that when I first started getting into prepping, I was reading books and I found it on YouTube. And the first three channels I found was Bull Hansen, Viking Preparedness, and John at the Prepared Mind. And so that was like my prepping diet for at least a year. And the next time you talk to John, I know you talked to John over at the Prepared Mind, tell him he's a smart cat. I mean, he really is. He's got this stuff figured out. He's light years beyond where my mind can go. Honestly, Ink Scar says, when do you think we have to take a stand and take up arms together? I say once a true leader stands up. Um, I can't advocate for it here on YouTube, Ink Scars. I think it's past time. I'm not the guy to do that. I've said that in the past, but I think whoever does it, whether they're calling for secession or what you're talking about, they're going to have to be a political leader, and they're just going to have to be revolutionary minded. They're going to have a lot of clout, a huge voice, if you will, in America, and they're going to have to stand up and say enough's enough. And I think some of the leaders know that we're past time, but they're afraid to stand up and say anything about it, you know. Um, and I really do think, we're past time, but I mean, we're getting to the point now where we're in a corner. They've shoved us in a corner. And, for me, the line in the sand is blue helmets come over and they start dictating how we live, or a foreign power comes over, boots on the ground with rifles, and they start dictating how we live. and it's going to be a free for all at that point. Yeah, I'm not sure who said that. 10 boomers are spoiled. I've worked for everything I have, nothing given to me. I'll say this, boomers typically have the most things, but they were a legitimate working class. I think Gen X, not to toot the Gen X horn here, but I think a lot of Gen Xers know what it's like also to work 2 jobs. But boomers, I'll say this, let me see if I can make sense of this. They didn't live on credit. A lot of Gen Xers have a ton of credit, millennials on down the line, Gen Z or whatever, credit, 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 credit. Boomers didn't live that way. They kind of earned everything that they have as it went along. And they're hard workers. I need to skip way down. Well, I'm not advocating for it, okay? But I'm saying if a political leader with a lot of clout and a huge voice, I did think for a while Trump was going to be that guy. I don't think Trump's that guy now. He had his chance. Um, but I think when that time comes and they're saying, "Hey, we need to do our own thing. We need to form our own military. We need to take our country back." I'm not opposed to the idea, is what I should say. That's fair, Sarah. That's a fair statement. They have been dictating how we live, and we just took it. You're absolutely right. I was let down greatly during the pandemic. You know, when the pandemic first started, I can remember laughing when they were talking about masks, they were talking about 6 feet apart. My mind immediately went to cities. And I'm like, there's no way you're going to be able to enforce this. There's too many people. They're going to fly you the bird or worse. And people began policing themselves. And so many Americans just fell in line with it. And it blew my mind. It really did. How, in a matter of probably a month or so, people were just conditioned to live under tyranny. Yep. There you go. Handy Prepper says, I'm a boomer and I worked since I was 12. Back then, a lot of people, age of 12, they didn't have a choice. You know, if you wanted to have anything, you got out and you worked for it. And there was no credit. I mean, there was store credit and stuff, but not like today. You know, they didn't have credit scores and stuff like this. You couldn't go out and borrow a bunch of money. Same here, Big Red. Proud Gen Xer. And that is, NC, that's actually, that's a good prep. Thank you for bringing that up, but if you have debt, try and pay it off. Try and pay it down as much as possible. That is one of the things. So I grew up in a single parent household. My dad would come to visit from time to time. He's actually in Arizona, so he didn't get over all that often, but, that's one of the things he pushed on me when I was very young, and my brother as well. He said, if you want it, save for it. Save the money a little bit at a time. If you really want it, it's easy to do. He said, if you're not willing to sit there and earn the money and save for it, you don't really want it, and it's a bad purchase. So don't go with credit. And our friends laugh or whatever because we have a very modest house. And again, I was just telling y'all, I'm not pushing a Jaguar over here, son. I'm not pushing a Lambo, I think they call it, but everything is paid for. You know what I mean? We paid for the house. We didn't have to go to a bank. We saved up. My wife and I lived off of bologna sandwiches. Basically, when we had our townhouse and we were saving our money a little at a time, we bought a starter home and we said, hey, we're just going to fix the starter home up as we can. We're not going into debt. And debt is horrible. It really is. And it's one of the big reasons our country's in the shape it is in now. Mama Bear, I could not tell you right off. We have an entire cabinet full. I mean, we have all the basics, the multivitamin, the zinc, we have fish oil, we have like the A, the C, um, I don't even know. That would make a great video. I can bring him out here and do it one day on video. But I mean, we have like a legitimately two-door huge cabinet full. Self-policing is dangerous. Yes, it is. JS, we'll close with that because I've been running my mouth for a while, but I did see that EBT is getting drastically reduced from the pandemic amounts. We will see bad behavior already and very soon. So I'm going to add to that, and I'm going to say also that the pandemic relief, this was a big thing I saw yesterday, school lunches and school nutrition programs. I'm not sure how y'all feel about that, but they were getting a lot more money during the pandemic, and that is now set to expire, and Congress can't decide. I think the Republicans are actually trying to block it. The Republicans are saying we don't have money, just keep throwing into, into all these different programs that were set up during the pandemic. School systems need to figure it out. And the other side of the argument is school systems are saying stuff costs more, as we were talking about earlier, and plus there are shortages and we can't get a lot of stuff. So we need extra money. And that just plays into also the EBT because that's another program the tax money is funneling into. And I don't have anything against people that are on EBT. We had it when I was growing up as a kid, so I can relate. In some cases, it is very needed, but we can't fund the pandemic forever. So at some point, they have to scale it back. We really didn't have the money in the first place to add to it during the pandemic. It was kind of a panic response, and they just printed off a bunch of money and said, "Here, here, here." But we can't continue to do that because it drives the prices of everything up. So that's my thoughts on it. Y'all let me know yours. And anything else in the comments or after the fact, let me know. Email me, whatever y'all want to do. We'll be live either, what is today? Hump day, either tomorrow or Friday. Okay. Not sure which one yet, but I appreciate everybody being here. My coffee, I still have it, but it's cold. I got to go make some fresh. But until tomorrow morning, y'all take care, nation, and God bless.